Either we love ourselves and we love our hair, and there's nothing wrong with, wanting to change up your style. But when you go to where you can only find beauty and you feel like you get all the attention, the men, etc., from a beauty standard that one now is based on stripper and sex work. Can I say that on? Because I know they be flagging stuff.
Oh, you definitely
Okay.
said it here.
Okay. um,
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mel, and welcome to Life Coaching by Mel. Here at Life Coaching by Mel, we speak truth. When I say truth, I mean the Lord's truth. Not my truth, not your truth. Indeed, the Lord's truth. Have you ever had a particular question that's been burning in your heart, burning in your life forever, and you just want the answer? For my entire life almost, I've had this question.
Who gonna check me, boo? I have.
Anyway, who's going to check Black women? Not necessarily check, but who can hold Black women accountable? Now, I'm a Black man, and I think I'd be right, only right, to have a Black woman on this subject, to have this discussion. I have my sister, Zhateyah. Ooh, we had a
Zhateyah. Zhateyah. It's okay.
I butchered it, man. How are you doing, my friend?
Okay. I'm blessed. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Absolutely honored to have you on. Ladies and gentlemen, Zhateyah is a designer, activist, educator, and the author of a book by the name of Sister, Reclaim Your Image. Zhateyah, if you don't mind, do us a favor and introduce yourself. And I would like to know, what's your overall aim and purpose for your content?
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Zhateyah. Like Brother Mel said, I am an author, activist, educator, and I also design. I have a passion for fashion. I love that. My purpose ever since a child, as I'm reconnecting back with it, is to empower my women, resurrect Black Wall Street, and now adding on to that as I come into the Sister Reclaim Your Image, and I'm still going through that process and that journey, is also to stand for God, and to kind of bridge all of those three things together to create the ultimate web for my people.
That's incredible. Definitely incredible. She's doing amazing things, ladies and gentlemen, on Instagram and YouTube and any other format she has. I'll let her say that for you guys here in a moment. But I want to ask as well, because this book is very intriguing, and I plan to get my copy here soon. It says, Sister, Reclaim Your Image. What was your motivation and aspiration, for writing that book? And what has been the overall reception that you're receiving, from people?
So when I first started writing the book, again, this is as I'm coming into being a different type of woman myself. Um, Shameless plug, just dropped the second sequel to Sister Reclaim Your Image, which is From Hot to Wholesome. So the first
Nice.
edition of Sister Reclaim Your Image is more so on how we are still plagued by pre and post slavery caricatures within media, and now trickling down to just who we are and how we act. It seems that it's a spirit attached to us. So in that first book, we delve a lot into that. The different slavery caricatures you probably heard in your, American Studies class, or maybe not these days because they're taking that stuff out. But you probably heard about the Jezebel, the Mammy, the Mulatto, and the Sapphire. And so not only do we analyze what that was pre and during slavery, but then we also analyze how have they still shaped that spirit and put those images out on our women today, whether that be Megan Thee Stallion, Beyonce, some of our favorite influencers, and some of the people that really are guiding our community, whether they would like to or not, being in that place of spotlight. It really goes into the spirits attached to those things. And it also goes into like the summary effects of not only what it does to us as, women seeing those things, but what it also trickles down to in our mental as well as our nation, and how it just affects overall our community. And again, so the second book also now is more personalized, and it's going into my personal journey from hot to wholesome. That is understanding creator feminine, going into, how to become modestly sexy, because a lot of the times women, we want it to be better, but then we just don't have those steps, and we don't necessarily have, again, those guides on media to show us the way. So it goes into a lot of different things, and just that transition on how to become go from that hot girl lifestyle to more of a wholesome womanhood lifestyle.
Yeah, it's absolutely powerful. I absolutely love everything you're saying there. And just the second part of that question, how's been the reception that you received?
So with the first book, it was I won't say it's crickets because people did support, but I think it was my first book. So, that comes with, you got to make your way into the industry. Again, a lot of people have been receptive. Sisters always tell me how much it meant to them, especially because in the first book, I have my personal testimony. And then again, in the second book, it kind of starts with the personal testimony versus ends in the first book.
Yeah.
But how powerful it was, how they have similar stories and how it's been, really vital in them also transitioning from that hot to wholesome type of woman. So now the second book, though, the second one, when I was first started marketing and campaigning for that, again, it's from hot to wholesome. We go into a big deep dive on creator feminine, which a lot of people don't go into dives on creator feminine. When you read a lot of scripts, Hebraic text, Abrahamic text, you don't really see a lot of the she in there or the feminine personification of God. But I like to get into it. I'm a researcher, so I had to go back to that Hebrew and find that it's in there. And so again, we go into that. And a lot of the men weren't happy. Some sisters were a bit confused too. But again, I think it's just kind of a culture shock because we've been given he as the father, but sometimes the Most High also is a she, as in wisdom and being a mother and being protected and nurturing, so just discovering those things.
I get it for sure. And it's hard for our people, not just our people, for people in general, to be open to new ideas and to, to different perspectives. We have grandma taught us. That's how we really want to keep it most of the time. So, so I appreciate you for having those type of conversations. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy she's here because we have this incredible conversation. I think it's going to be very informative and thought-provoking. I would love for you guys to be open and join us in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts. But we have two topics that somewhat tie together with the goal of answering that question, who gonna check me, boo? Who is able to hold Black women accountable in today's time? And honestly, since the 60s, let's be honest on that. But this episode will include HALLE BAILEY, Tommy Sotomayor, comedian Tahir and Terrence Howard. So be sure you guys stay to the end of this video. It's going to be a very important conversation. Our first topic, podcaster Tommy Sotomayor recently posted a tweet, and we could definitely get into that. But I want to preface this by saying, I know Tommy is a controversial guy. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, after I did my research, I saw that he was pretty controversial.
And I'm going to be honest. I'm a Soto Nation. I'm a part of Soto Nation. I'm a big fan of his. And I'm able to eat the meat and spit out the bones. That's really what I'm accustomed to in my life because I'm be real. I was raised by a mother that talked just like him. So I know what it takes to be able to decipher what someone's saying. And I'm not ashamed to say I like someone that's that controversial. But he recently commented on this particular photo by HALLE BAILEY. As you can see, she's a recent mother and she's showing off her mom bod. So Tommy had this to say, we have the lowest class of women on earth. Right after having their babies, do they show you the new side of them, this mom side? No, they show you how they right back to, I'm sorry, it's kind of bad vernacular. They show you how they right back to being exactly what they were pre-baby. Black women love to let you know that having a baby don't change your life, but that's the problem. It should because it does. If you don't want a baby to change your life, then why become a mother? These chicks have babies simply as as a bodily function, nothing more. Yeah, we can agree that's pretty harsh there. But
it's very loaded. Very loaded.
It's very loaded, and you have to really decipher what he's saying. But let's move forward because this went kind of viral, and our people start to, we have a separate side of Twitter. We call it Black
Absolutely.
Twitter. So
separate side of everything.
Different side of everything. We bring flavor to whatever we touch. So they began to go in on my boy. I will be honest. So one particular guy who collected those tweets or the research that happened on that people actually did on Tommy was comedian Tahir.
This is why I love Twitter. It would seem like it's just so much easier just to mind your business. Who are your friends that you're testing these wild ass statements out on first before you post? No one? It shows, all right? This man has some strong feelings about Haley posting pictures of her. Oh, you're not showing off the baby. You back to showing what you look like before the baby. Sir, how does that concern you? But Twitter being what it is, they did what they do. And they found this. You bashing black women for upkeep. And you went to jail for unpaid child support payments. Fam. Do you know how many murders could be solved if Twitter really just put forth the effort? They will find any and everything about you. And you got the nerve while you sitting up here, you ain't even taking care of your kid. Fam. You know, Twitter gonna throw a little razzle dazzle. Well, hello there, time is. You, this is a bad. Why would you even say anything? Why would you say anything? I'm gonna go father change you. Of course, he didn't respond to any of these, and maybe he learned his lesson. Probably not, though.
And that's not necessarily true. He did respond, but I'm not expecting Tahir to know that. Now, first off, we got to get your opinion on Tommy's original tweet. What would that be?
So I am a big advocate in either you're going to fully help the community or you're also in op. There is no being lukewarm with it and switching sides. And I'm also an advocate for if you want your community, if you love your community and you want your community to change their ways, even if you may have a message, you also have to understand that if your message was that she should show more modesty and humility after childbirth, I think there are ways to say it, because now it just seems like you're a hater online, and haters only get really like just views and other haters. I'm not big on the hating game,
Right.
but I'm also really big on too is that before you even have a comment like that, so you may even want to help. So one, fix your comment and how you say things. But two, if you don't have a relationship with the girl, she has a whole man, father, other male figures. And here you are going out of what I would say your masculine lane is to just because I don't like to say being messy is feminine. I don't like a lot of people like, oh, it's emotional and feminine, because I don't take that as to be a negative. Emotions are a superpower and it's synonymous with being spiritual. So I don't like ladies to feel bad when somebody calls them emotional. Yes, you are, sis. You are a help me unto this, just like the Holy Spirit. But again, in terms of his comments, I think if he wanted it to be really fruitful, he would have reworded it better. He probably wouldn't have tried to publicly shame and belittle and crack jokes. And also, I think his comments could have been a bit more real, because she also does show a lot of her baby. She from what she gives to social media, her and DDG look like great parents so far. So I won't hate on her for that. And I also just don't necessarily think men will get the result that they desire by speaking to women in a language that they don't understand. And so sometimes I think it's best to let the elders and the women elders of the community groom that life into her more so, versus someone who is completely disconnected and obviously doesn't even have the right tactics to reach her really speak on it. So now it just seems a bit divisive and counteractive to me of what's going on in the community. So
Yeah, that's completely fair. Completely fair what you're saying there, and I think Tommy would have to respect that as well. I think there's an element of him that is a shock jock,
mhm.
so to speak, and he's doing things for shock. I look at Tommy, in my opinion, the way I came across your content was a video you did. I think it was a short of Shahrazad Ali. I'm sorry, is that her name?
It is.
I love what you said about her, and that you pointed out the things that she was all about and still is all about to this day. And I think the same way that we disqualify Tommy now is how she was always disqualified. I've seen several videos of her in the 80s, on Donahue and all
Mhm.
kind of talk shows getting clowned by a woman who we love now, but what's her
Oh yeah,
name?
Ayanla.
Ayana.
Yeah,
We
I
love her
saw that
now,
too.
and it's so funny how she just switched the game, and now she's speaking kind of sort of like Miss
Hmm.
Ali, and also like Tommy, and I hear what you're saying as far as who should be able to talk, and and I definitely, the Word of God, the Bible talks about the old elder women, mentoring the younger women. I get that in totality, but what I also get, and I made a comment on this post because for Tahir, and I maybe misunderstood what he did initially. When I think back at it, he wasn't necessarily laughing at Tommy. He was laughing at the internet being able to pull up things. But I took it initially that he was laughing at another man
Hmm.
owing child support,
And
which
see, that's why, and again, counteractive to the community, because even that going to find his dirt again doesn't help, because when you realize that black women and black men are reflections of each other, me hurting you and you hurting me, we are just hurting each other, because the Most High told us to be two as one, like to be that complete
Yeah.
essence of what the reflection and what the makeup of the Most High even is. And to
yes,
talk about Shahrazad Ali too, I also sometimes, although I praise her for her works, I think great researcher. She stood on what the kids like to say, they standing on business. She stood on business. She stood on business, but I also think too, again, if we really want to reach our people, sometimes you have to talk sweet to them, like people are going to be more receptive, because I also find some of the things in Shahrazad's original work that, again, I think were counterproductive. I do still think she was an advocate for the community, but again, when you're talking to women and you want to reach women, and women have a softer side, and you shouldn't just come so abrasive to women. You shouldn't belittle women. Nobody wants to hear if you're you know talking down on them. We just have to respect that fact, no matter whether it's the woman or a man saying it, that if you want a certain outcome for your community, speak to your community how they can receive it. Get down with it. Sometimes it is harsh love too, but it shouldn't be an imbalance of just completely harsh love without the actual warm, tender, we're really correcting this so that we can get through it, versus I'm just shaming you so that you can feel shame. Because right now, as we can see, the ladies don't care about shame. So you can shame them all they want. They still turning up, and we're not getting anywhere. Come to
yeah,
them as a sister, a mother, a father, a brother.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. However, when it comes to, and it's not a debate at all, it's really just a conversation. So I'm not telling you wrong in what you're saying, but I want to say that there was a point in time, you know, where that shame did matter. It was a point in time going to grandma's house, we dressed better, we talked
Mhm.
different, we didn't lie on church ground, cuss on church ground, things of that
Yeah.
nature. Like we had reverence for certain things in our community, and because we knew that someone would say something. Like you did whatever you could
Hmm.
just to avoid hearing grandma's mouth or granddaddy mouth. And I think now that because shame has been taken away, and it's going to be shown even more later on in our next topic, we don't have a standard, so to
Hmm.
speak. And I asked in the comment section after I talked to Tahir about what I thought was wrong about his laughter. I asked people who were responding to me, can you name one person that has been critical of black women that has been well received? Because I submit to you that I don't think it's necessarily about how people say it. I think it's just the fact that they are being critical. Because Ayala, who is more sweet than Ayala? And she still had to get off of air and
Hmm.
refuse to speak to people publicly anymore. Or I don't know, I can't remember exactly what she said verbatim, but it was something along the lines of she can't really deal with black women at this time or women
Hmm.
in general. So I'm yet to find that answer at this point. Who
Hmm.
can correct black women in whatever matter that they said?
Yeah, and I don't think this issue will necessarily just be centered on Black women. I think that's just a morality issue in general with all. Evil right now is reigning supreme, and it's very few and far that you find the good, and then even fewer and far that you find the willing to go help the ones that are kind of on that battle, like the ones that are being raised up into evil, but don't necessarily have evil at their core. It's very far and few to where you have people that actually want to, again, reach out and help and build. And I think in cases of people like Ayanla, like myself, like Shahrazad Ali, these are people that are the ones in their generation and time, yet we're not all banding together. Because
Mm,
the three of us, imagine, and other women pioneers and women activists, but more so righteous women activists. Imagine
right.
those pioneers having their own community like that, to where the weight of the work is heavy. So I understand taking a step back, because it's so many things wrong with our people. It's so many curses that we are trying to break, and it's not just something that we can do individually. The Most High told us to gather as a people and as a nation, and we have yet to do that. In just
Mm.
supporting one, unless it's for debauchery. We gather for that all day long. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we gather for that all day long
I
to
was gonna
act a
say, I
plum
was gonna
fool.
say.
But when it comes to, actually building community and really making change, and not just symbolic victories, again, it's far and few. And the ones who are pioneering that change and ushering in that era, they also have to develop that community to be able to continue the work and make the work legacy, as well as just have that community, because the woman also needs rest and rejuvenation. And although she can heal, she too needs to be healed sometime and be nurtured as well. So,
Yeah, that's a very valid point for sure. And I was going to say, like, we don't have issue, gathering for debauchery, as you mentioned, or just to destroy someone, because
mhm,
that's one thing I see. Like, whenever there is someone being critical, we find every way to disqualify that person. Just like this
mhm,
with Tommy. Like, I've been a Tommy fan for about 12 years, and
mhm,
I'm not just trying to lord him, anything like that, or exalt him. Like, he has his flaws, but that particular argument against him, it's not nothing new. They've been doing this his whole life, and this child support and all these jail photos are a decade old at least. And not just him, anyone. We find
yeah.
anyone, any way to disqualify the person instead of focusing on the message. And
Mhm.
everyone has a past. I heard a preacher say one time, you can't have a message unless you once had a mess. So you
Absolutely.
look at anyone who is in the Bible, anyone who we look at as a significant figure in history, they have a past. And so I'm not making it about him. I'm making it just a general point of, why are we so quick to disqualify someone? And specifically, I'm just going to, I'm not asking you to have
Mhm.
this view, but specifically when it comes to protecting Black women, when it comes to anyone who has anything critical to say, men will rise up. That's what, had me boiling about to hear. Men will rise up first to protect them in that manner, instead of calling out what the actual issue is that the
Mhm.
person is referring to.
Um, I think that's just been a thing of age old. The prophet has no love in his homeland. Um,
Ooh, that's good.
and again, though, like, something I've learned from Shahrazad Ali, because I used to be very controversial. Like, I say my piece here and there now, and it's like I'm really gotta get right with them. But before, when I first started and I had the fire and the passion, and I just felt like, you come into this great awakening, you start to, I think, throw a lot of daggers.
Mm,
And again, you just have to realize too, because this is also something I realize, I'm throwing daggers. I can't be mad when warfare is coming back unto me. Like, if we can all
absolutely.
agree, on energy and just universal principles and just standard laws that God has set, then again, now I'm getting more receptive. I can make my way into different lanes and organizations and talking to people, because I'm being wiser with my tongue. So I'm not trying
Mm,
to, again, throw a dagger to shoot to make my point across. I can make my point with love and harmony and peace, still with sternness and still me standing on what I believe. But
yeah.
again, I think it's methods to it. And right now, everyone does go for that shock value, but they don't realize the shock value. It's a shock, so it's going to shock you, but it's also shocking your community, which
Woo.
again, it's hurting both sides. So that's why I just say we just have to be wiser. We already know that the prophet gets no love in his hometown, so don't make the job even more hard. Make it easier by being wiser, using smarter tactics, and
Yeah,
actually
that's so
caring for
good.
your people. Because as as I start to care for my people, even how I was saying, even though I disagree with the imaging of Meg the Stallion and a lot of our influencers, I still, again, know that I was once there. So how would I have liked to be taught and treated and told? And I know what didn't work. And I know what, when somebody came at me with a dagger, the skirt got a little bit shorter, because why not? How you gonna tell me what to do? You ain't my mama, my daddy, and even if you is, like, just that type of energy. I just know a soft answer turneth away wrath, and that's biblical, and
Mm,
it's also just proverbial in general across. Um, we just have to be a bit wiser. Like I said, either really be an advocate, or also just let us know that you just here for the shock value and the funds and the be viral and do that, and just kind of be like a different version of a shade room. But that's two evils to the same thing to me. If you're gonna be on the good side, please rep the good, and let's make smarter choices that the good, would make. So
mm. Really good, really good. And that is, although I've been following Tommy, it's primarily for entertainment purposes. But I
hmm
will say, that would be, I met him once and when he came to Dallas, but if I were to talk to him one on one again, that would be my main critique. Like to do what you do and not expect to get, vigor back is something that, that you shouldn't complain about. But I
but
also
I
think,
think it
oh,
also
go ahead.
weighs out though. I think it weighs out because then it's like the shock value also brings in the attention that we need for the revenue generation. So it's also us
Absolutely.
finding that balance of how can I provide for myself with, again, not being a detriment necessarily to the community or to myself, because that also affects his mental health. I'm sure, like all these comments, people hating on you. It's one thing to be like, oh, F them, but it's a real thing that's still energy coming towards you. So I want my brother to protect his peace as well, because we need him for longevity purposes and to restore our community. Again, one isn't greater than the other.
Most definitely. And that's where I was going. Like he has mentioned the mental anguish that this has on him, that it takes on him, and that's part of it. It's definitely part of it. But that's my guy. I still support him, but we'll leave
Stick
it there.
beside him. I'm not mad at you.
Right, right. But yeah, so I'm not trying to make this a Tommy Central show, but it definitely, when I thought about what would be good to talk to you about, a lot of his comments kind of came to mind. Um, so I want to move forward here. So our guy Terrence Howard, actor, he's actually went viral for wearing a pretty hilarious wig. Let's take a
There
look
are
here.
tears in my eyes. like, how am I supposed to pay attention to this video?
Now, CAA.
That's a lot of money. That should have been.
Well, let's go to another one.
I'm just saying.
CAA, Creative Artists Agency. They represented me. Mm-hmm. They also represented some of the people from Big Bang Theory. Mm-hmm. They also
Pay attention.
did the deal with Fox. Mm-hmm. My show was with Fox. The people from Big Bang was with Fox. Mm-hmm. We had 28 million viewers. They had 11 million viewers. Yeah. They were getting $2 million, damn near $3 million.
He looks the way he sounds
those
now.
white kids that had no name recognition, no Oscar nominations, none of that. We have 28 million viewers, and these jokers are paying me $325,000 an episode. And I'm like, every year I'm asking
like a
my
black
agents,
BG.
what's going on? I didn't know that the packaging deal, my agents were incentivized to keep my pay low, so they'll go to Fox and
I can't
say
even
no,
understand what he
and
said.
they'll
I
say
can't
no
stop
themselves because they
laughing.
were
Like,
producers.
nah.
Now, she's laughing at the fact that Terrence Howard has a wig on. He's has, this wig is definitely of a straighter context for those who are listening, not watching. And he looks, like something I guess a different culture would wear on a normal basis. Now, he did provide context in that interview. He was actually on set of a movie, and he was, that's the costume he had for that movie. Now, this is where Tommy comes into play. Tommy has always said, because he talks about weave a lot on his channel, and
Mhm.
the fact that he doesn't like black women wearing wigs and weave, he prefers natural hair. He says often that if a black man were to walk around with a Tom Cruise wig on, that he would get straight clowned. And this is evidence of that, like in a nutshell. And they were just very ironic, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, anything like that, but this is, public information. The young lady who is making this video mocking him, I just wanted to point out a couple things, that you can see. She also has.
I'm at the beach, guys. It's a vibe. What I want to know is why the fuck me still depressed? Bumbuckler, me can't happy.
She also has, non-black textured hair as well. Now, The irony. The irony. So I think this would be a great thing to discuss. Do you view this as an issue first and foremost, as far as the hypocrisy? I call it hypocrisy, but what are your overall thoughts about this?
So first, I'll address the video with Terrence. I won't necessarily say that he was wearing that probably for beauty purposes. If anything, he was talking about something real right there too. So I believe Terrence Howard is smart. He also knows how media works. He's been in the game for a minute to know that if I do something outlandish, like if I wear this wig, I know that this clip is going to go so that maybe they can hear my message and my claim about how this CAA owes me money. and he's the recompense me. What was the man's name again? Sotomayor?
Tommy Sotomayor. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How he talks about weaves and wigs and just his disdain for them. I wouldn't really compare this in just mathematical terms, because I see one where the sister is wearing all the wigs and stuff for beauty is different from what Terrence Howard is doing. He's acting for one, which requires wigs, makeup, costumes. And again, this isn't necessarily for his beauty. Now, in response to wigs and weaves and my sisters being the main proponents of taking that image. Now, I'm not a big fan of human hair weaves, and it's more so for spiritual reasons. Why I find nothing wrong with enhancements, minor enhancements. I do find things wrong with changing and undergoing major surgical procedure just for a beauty standard. I believe, I'm not with that. I stand against that. If it's not necessary, we don't need to do that. And we have to raise your confidence up and your esteem up in your own womanhood and your own lane before we need to go to those procedures. We have a deeper spiritual issue there. But when it comes to the weaves and wigs, why I am not an advocate for it is because hair, again, a lot of us right now claim that we're in the spirituality. Like some are like, oh, crystals, rocks, God, wherever they find their spirituality at. But then we often don't look at how wigs and weaves, hair in general, really any type of DNA or essence from you contains an energy. And you don't know where you're getting this hair from. You don't know. A lot of the times in foreign places, they sacrifice their hair unto a different god. They're praying over it. They're putting affirmations and just different spells and things over it. And you're just buying it from a vendor, and you don't know what type of energy that has and where it came from. I do have an issue with that. I also will say, in terms of enhancements, it can be problematic for us to be so us positive, so Black beauty positive, and then look and try to obtain a beauty standard antithetical to what we actually are raised up. Either we love ourselves and we love our hair, and there's nothing wrong with, wanting to change up your style. But when you go to where you can only find beauty and you feel like you get all the attention, the men, etc., from a beauty standard that one now is based on stripper and sex work, and two also goes back to, can I say that on? Because I know they be flagging stuff.
Oh, you definitely said it here.
Okay. As well as something that looks like your oppressor's standard of beauty, or how, I would say white patriarchy may have formed you to be, again, back into that caricature. We talk about the mulatto. And in my book, I talk about the mulatto caricature and how now it's long hair, long straight hair, blonde hair. We're trying to, in our filters, make our noses smaller, contour our faces to be slimmer, and just do a lot of things that, again, we're forcing and literally torturing our hair to fit a certain texture when, again, this shouldn't be super straight. Look at it. It's going up. We go up to the sun. We grow up. We are formed and synonymous with trees and things like that. I do find an issue when that's not the real beauty standard promoted. But again, I don't necessarily blame some of our local women. I put the responsibility on those who are entertainers and allowing themselves to be tools for this, as well as the media companies who really, again, we can blame the entertainers, but the media companies know what will sell. They know how to formulate you into whatever caricature they need so that you can be presentable and get the deals. Because ultimately, the truth is that we also don't control those things. We may have a little bit of say, but they're still a product, and I would say a house Negro in a way with it. So
Yeah.
I do find issue with it. I do.
Well, I thank you for answering that. That was so powerfully stated. And I don't find anything wrong with what you stated, but I just have a follow-up question, if you don't
Hmm.
mind. When you say the media and the images and things of that nature, you hold them primarily accountable or responsible. I just find it curious that, you know, we can't outright say it's on, personal ownership. I know you did say that within your statement, but are we saying that our women or people are just that impressionable that, we can't decipher what's good or bad for ourselves?
I am not saying that. What I am saying is that when I like to think about problems, I like to go to the source of it. The first and automatic source will be putting a certain people group that's already at a disadvantage in a system to where their only opportunities to make it out, at least for what looks good for them to have a social life that they have, a career that isn't as draining, even though that's what it looks like to us. But those people work all the time. So they are
No
also, again,
doubt.
like I said, still enslaved in a bit. When the people that fund and can fund these lifestyles and can even put it on your right to your phone. They can run an ad and target you, and they have all this knowledge that you, as a people group, majority of y'all, 95% of y'all do not have. Y'all do not have the funds, resources, and even really the first image of that even being what your beauty standard is. That's something that has been distorted. I am saying the origin of the blame, as far as media presence, goes back to those who run the media. I'll say the origin of the decision and the origin of us having to educate our daughters to not choose that, and being the teachers, and that does rely with us, because we wouldn't be in this position had we not even tried to remove ourselves or follow after other people, or remove ourselves from the most high or try to follow after other people from the start. So we have the utmost capacity to discern, but right now, again, we are not educating our children to be able to discern. We tell them no for certain things. And again, telling some of these kids just no right now just means I'm just gonna make the skirt shorter. I'm just gonna do whatever I want, versus telling them the tools. This is what I like, and especially in my second book, Hot to Wholesome, I'm not telling you what is good, bad, or evil. I am telling you to discern. I am giving you the tools and the willpower
Mm.
and the wisdom and the practices of wisdom to be able to discern. Okay, if I do wear weave, in this case for the topic, if I do wear weave, what are some potential consequences that can come to that? What energy might I attract by wearing this type of hair? Do I even look like myself? Is this the type of woman that I want to portray? What type of woman do I want to be in the long run? Do these things add up? Like, do I actually feel beautiful in this? Or is it just because Megan Thee Stallion has this hair that I now need to mimic after it? So going into a lot of that, but I think where we lack as a people, because I also agree that if Beyonce said no, and any other Beyonce that would come down, there wouldn't be a Beyonce to manipulate and run and control if we just had that power. And that's from the earliest stages. Even Madam C.J. Walker, if she had
No
never
doubt.
made that perm, would it have
Right.
been? These were still tools and variables that were used in the equation. But if you remove yourself from the equation altogether, it would have never been a problem of your destruction. And I think we just more so have to have reign over our own. We have to rule over our own kingdom, both as a people group and then individually within our homes. And going back to some of Tommy's comments, I'm also a big believer in you need to rule your own kingdom. So
Mm.
as a man, you go get the men in order. You talk with sisters that can align with you, and you let the sisters go get the sisters in order. If it's your family, that man and that wife, that mother and that father, you rule your own kingdom. Now you still have community, but ultimately you have, again, rule your own kingdom, and don't let anybody else rule it under their principles, especially when it's chaotic, and that's not who the Most High even designed us to be.
Absolutely, beautifully said. Rule your own kingdom. That's my. I'm gonna get a shirt to say that. I'm gonna steal that from you, just so you know. No, I'm just joking.
Just give me 10%. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you. But no, seriously, I think that's my whole motive, and it's the purpose of this channel, and it's just my that's what drives me every single day. I want to be a representative of everything I would love to see in our community, and I'm creating that with this nuclear family that I'm building. And I think just going back to what we were just talking about here, I just have a question on: are they necessarily emulating what they see with the images, or are they just a result of the images around them? Because I'm of the belief that a lot of the first time women hear that the hair is nappy, which we've turned to a negative term, that you need to get a perm, or you need to go do such and such, that looks more like the image of European standard of beauty. The first time they hear it is from their home and from their
Mhm.
mother. So I want to ask you personally, based on going from hot to wholesome, was the hot part of your journey, was that a representation of what you saw, or was that you already have wholesome women around you and you just rebelled?
I think it was a mix of both. I always grew up in church and having those, I always knew what God required of me. But again, when I'm looking out into the world, and as a kid, you are sometimes as a kid, you are less concerned with what is right and wrong versus fitting in and having friends and being normal.
Mm,
Um, what I will say too, though, is kids today don't necessarily have that other option to see. It's one thing, again, to even be able to discern, but if the good is always hidden and you can barely find the good, or it's so controversial, or in terms of how you dress and look, like, because I'll be real, when I first came in and people were like, oh, you gotta be modest, modest. The people that was telling me, because I'm a fashion girl, I'm like, I don't want to look how you looking. Like, respectfully, I
right.
love that for you if that's your lane you want to walk in, but that just don't work for me. That will
Yeah.
hinder my spirit entirely. But so yeah, I think we have to start raising up those righteous images and making them just as popular as these other images, just so that children can have a choice. I don't want to take anyone's free will away from them. If you would like to choose good, please choose it. Honor the Most High. If you would like to choose evil, choose it. That's your character that you got to play too. And I'm not gonna stop the Most High's plan for what He got planned for your life, good, bad, or ugly. But I think we do need the righteous women and the old, because at first it was Claire, and although Claire's hair was straight, which is why it got brought in, but it was Claire. Claire was classy. It was Regine. These were, even though she was a little loose too, but like these images, and they were classy. It wasn't as, I would say, loose as it is now, and that's why it's really a kid issue, because we got to see the transition of it to where we were a little bit more grounded. Right now, those 20 and under are completely in a digital age. They're completely in an age that um, follows after vainglory, whether that is money, attention, likes, etc. And that is all that's promoted. You don't have anymore where you have our community being on TV and promoting something good. Like, you don't have good times anymore. Nobody's watching that type of stuff. Nobody's
Yeah.
looking at those images. Right now, when we look at our images, it's reality TV, not good for our young girls or young men or for the nuclear family at all. You have entertainers, Beyonce, Megan Thee Stallion, all these women that are selling sex and lust and witchcraft as well. It's we don't have those images. And again, it's partly to blame on who keeps funding these things, because we only have a 1.7 trillion buying power, allegedly. Um, we only have that. So the people that are funding these things and are even being able to put them onto our screens and get the ad dollars, again, I do still place blame on them, as well as for just constructing a full system to keep us at bay. They will have to recompense and pay for what they did, but we also, again, as the variable still in it, we have to stand tall too and give our children different, and stop just letting everybody in the system raise your children. We need to start
Mm,
having those tight knit communities and being around each other again.
yeah.
Like neighborhoods were community. You knew, like you said, you knew you couldn't do too much or you didn't want to hear about it. So
Yep.
the whole community had eyes on you. So if you stepped out of line, You might not even have to wait for your mom to get home. You're getting popped up by somebody's grandma because you're
Right.
acting out of order. You know, we still do need that. And we need to rebuild it because we've lost it very quickly, I would say, in the past 30 years.
Absolutely. That's so true. And it was always there. It was just hidden. Like I've been spending a lot of time with my grandparents. My grandfather's passed now, but within the last 6 years, I spent a lot of time with them and hearing just stories of them being, one of me, like I was when
Mm-hmm.
years ago. They were doing their thing, but you
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know. They hid it. And to my, some of the things people take to the grave. And I think even the Sexy Red, some of her songs, I think I heard one song in particular. I don't know if it's a parody or not, but I think it may
It's,
have been a cover.
she is a parody. She is a
Yeah, she's
parody.
a parody for sure. She is for sure. But I heard one of her songs. I don't know the titles and stuff like that, so I can't think of it right now. But it was like a cover of the original of a song that she does now. And it was like in the 40s or 50s. Some women did this. So it's always was there, but it was pushed to the side. Like
Yeah,
we
it
had
wasn't anything that
certain.
should be glamorized for sure. It
Absolutely.
wasn't like, oh, I need
Absolutely.
to do that. It was always like nobody. When did it become cool to be a whore, like, or a hoe?
Yes.
Like when it's,
Yes.
and it's just, again, it's been glamorized because now it's like, oh, well, the whores are getting the rich men and all this. It's like, we are not showing them the benefits of being grounded, having family, not
Mm,
being super promiscuous, as well as we forgot a lot of just our how to be sacred. We've gotten so much into this animalistic mindset and these practices, first launched by other people that have planned co-ops and intelligence and all that against us. But now it's almost automated to now we run it ourselves. They don't really have to do much.
mm.
So we just gotta, we need to repent. That's first and foremost.
Oof.
But we have
Oof.
to yeah. And I know it takes a lot to repent, but also very little. Super simple, but so complex. Um,
Absolutely.
but we just have to get our community back and be based on our principles, true Black principles, because I still don't think that they are completely lost and gone. I think, again, the noise is so much noise around that it's hard to even realize, like, who am I? It's hard to sober up off of all the evil and the lust and the glamour and all of that. It's hard to sober up in a bad environment. So
So true. So true. And that word repent means to pick it up from the root, take it up from the root.
mhm,
And I think that's definitely necessary. I went across the video, and as we begin to wrap up here, I went across one of your videos on Instagram when I saw you mention the remnant of people that this, this awakening is for. I want you to take a moment to speak to that remnant. Anyone who's looking for that change, they're ready to turn their back to that image, the things
mhm,
that are ultimately here to divide our people. Speak to that remnant. Anything you would like to say as we
mhm.
wrap up today's episode?
To the sisters that feel a calling and feel that they are to walk differently in this time, walk differently, as I know it may be hard against your family, against your old friends, against your old lifestyle, against sometimes your sorority, your fraternity, or in the case of the men, fraternity, to all the brothers and sisters, plainly, that feel a calling and feel a will and have awakened to reality. Heed the call, but first and foremost, know from whom the call is coming. You know, it's one thing to heed the call and to be so on fire for the mission. It's another thing to know who is making the mission in the first place. And I really truly feel that if we can understand creator feminine and creator masculine, and we can understand who we were from the beginning, the principles that the Most High placed for us so that we could be gods and not just pure men, because it's a difference. If
Hmm.
we can go back unto our Father, our Mother, the Most High, repent, understand your creator, you will look at yourself differently. You will look at your sisters and brothers differently. You will look at ants outside differently. A spider crawled on my face the other day. Did I freak out? No. It's a new me, y'all. It's a new me. But you will look at so many things differently. And it will be that's the only thing I'll say. Go curate that relationship with the Most High. and the one from whom the call comes, and everything else will be established. But do not wait. Do not put it off. Do not think that you cannot come to the Most High as you are. Come to it. Now, I will say, though, don't just keep coming as you are. Remember that this is a sovereign creator. This is a deity of deities, the king of kings and the queen of queens. Like, remember that. Have humility and reverence unto that, but still understand that mercy, grace, long suffering, and just again, him not forgetting who we are to him will also be your saving factor, and rest in that. But please turn your life around. Please. At the end of the day, please do that.
Right,
But
right. I'm
yeah.
glad you added that. So beautifully stated, man. It's been an honor and pleasure having you on. Do us a favor and just plug anything you would like, and let everyone know where they can find you, please.
Absolutely. So I have my 2 books right here for the sisters. If you want to understand some of the spirits that they have placed on us in the media, this is a workbook style book, fully colored. You can write in it. You can do some self-analysis yourself. This is more a critical analysis on our situation. You will also not only find out maybe what spirits have been placed on you by media, but you'll also be able to understand who the Most High called you to be, the Gavirah. You don't hear that a lot in the Bible or Hebrew or just in the world today. It will teach you how to be that biblically sound woman, modeled after the Proverbs 31 woman. And this will be kind of like the first start of you sobering up to, dang, they've been casting spells on me for a minute, and I got to come out of that. And then this book, this is fresh out the mind. Just hit the streets from hot to wholesome. This is going to be a guided workbook. So again, you can understand creator feminine. You can understand light and dark in femininity. You can let go of negative influences. Can become modestly sexy. You can regain your confidence on just how you should be even dressing for your body type, because we all trying to look like a certain person. But again, walk in your own lane. It's diversity on here for a reason. It's different species, classes, and animal kingdoms for a reason. And it's beauty and order in all of them, and recognize yours. You do not have to look like somebody else, be like anybody else. Just be you and be who the Most High created you to be. And so this will help you a lot with that, and understanding, again, the Most High from a feminine perspective, which will be key in, again, how you look at yourself as a woman, how you look at the Most High, as well as how you look at your sisters and your reflections, which are your men. So, and my podcast for that will be coming out soon too. So you can go to Sister Reclaim Your Image, sister, not sister, sister, Reclaim Your Image, and you can go and find more merch details as well as further articles.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much once again for coming on. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well. Shalom.
Let's go.